and I think we really have, all of us, we have the capacity to really live a life of well-being, you know, so that every day that you get up and you just have this sense, this safe feeling that Judy was talking about, of everything's okay, even though there's a bunch of stuff going on in your life, you know, and I know stuff goes on in all of our life, but to get up every morning and just know it's going to be okay. It takes this basic trust. It takes this trust that you're not doing it alone, that there's something incredibly big inside of you that isn't just your little human self, and that you have a lot of fears, and it's okay. And it starts with right where we are. You know, whatever is going on in your life, whatever is happening to you, whatever fears you feel, it's okay. You know, it's all right to do them. And our job is to embrace it. And we're talking, but the talk title, it's kind of goofy because our talk title is A Better Future. We're talking about change. We're talking about Mother's Day. And so I just said, you know, I don't know how to put it all together, but what I do know is that it all works together because of this incredible field of love that we have in us. And when we embrace ourselves, right, at this point, it all comes together. It all creates this oneness that we are. And we're talking about a better future. Well, we can't have a better future until we embrace who we are in this moment. So that's why I say it starts with each and every one of us, with whatever's going on in your life in this moment, with whatever thought is in your head right now, you know, whatever emotion we're feeling, all we need to do is embrace it, love it, understand it, and move forward in our life. And that's how we create inside of each of us this better future. We don't try to look at these fears. I was talking to you about fears this morning. We all have them. We all have different things going on inside. And so much the tendency with these fears that we have is to either run from them or hide them down here, or to wallow in them, you know. And the truth is that as we embrace them and we just say it is, we see that it shines light on it, and we can move forward with a biggerness to us, with a biggerness, did I just say that? With a biggerness to us, okay? Because see, our deepest fear is our fear of change. You know, we want to control our life. And so I kind of want to focus that on that idea of we think we can control our life. It's like I'm reminded of, like, if I had to picture this, there's like balls that we're trying to keep underwater, all these balls, you know, and you're going like this, keep this one down, they keep popping up and stuff, and that's like managing it, you know, and we can't manage it. We have to let go of what happens in our life because change happens. Everything changes and ends is one of the 5 givens of David Rico's work, and we all have to embrace it. To me, it's the hardest thing that there is to embrace about life, is that there's so many endings, you know, and there's everything change. Why does everything have to change? And it just does. And when we, like you said, can just say, okay, it does, now what? You know, I accept that and I move on in a loving, loving way. You know, we can't control it all. And I was thinking about it as I was a kid. I used to just think it was so neat that people had all the answers and they could control everything. And they knew what to do, and I didn't. And I remember a family that lived across the street, and it just seemed like their whole life was in control, right? They had this like perfect little brick house, and every little blade of grass was mown perfectly. We went over to the house, and they had 2 kids that were, you know, good looking, always had their ponytails in, and they just, you know, they were never messy, they were always clean. And they used to ring a bell for dinner, and I just thought, wow, you know, they got it together, you know? And it would be like, okay, kids, dinner time, and the kids would run in the house, and everything was just like so controlled. And I went back to my house. I mean, my mom didn't know where the 5 of us were half the time, you know? So it just seemed so out of control, you know, until I got bigger. I used to like really think that was, you know, cool in life. That's what I longed for, this control. And I thought that's how you do life. You control everything, right? If you control it, then nothing can happen. Well, later on, I found out, of course, the whole family fell apart. You know, there was a divorce. They had a scandal in the business that they worked in. And, you know, pretty soon they moved out of the house, and the lawn got all, the perfect lawn that was mowed so perfectly, you know, was all falling apart and gray. And it was, and I got it, you know, that you can't control stuff. It happens. No matter how hard you try to keep those balls down, you can't control life. You can't control anything, you know? And here I thought they knew so much more than my parents, you know? And, you know, you just do that in your life. So no matter how much that we try to keep those balls down, you know, they're gonna pop up. So what do? You know, we just have to get it that You know, everything changes and it ends, and it's okay. And I think once we get it, once we just let those balls pop all up, we just get on the balls, right? Play with them, and you know, it's okay. The balls are up. They're in the swimming pool now. I'm thinking a swimming pool, right? You know, so they got up to the swimming pool. So we have to understand that everything changes. Relationships, you know, will always change. Everything evolves and changes. People die in your life. You know, my babies are gonna be, you know, older, too old. My skin doesn't look the same as it used to. You know, that's a big one for a lot of people. Everything changes and ends. And so Pima Children says is that it's like, you know, we build these houses we build sandcastles. We decorate them, you know, with colors, and we make them perfect, and then we attack everybody else if they hurt that sandcastle. Instead, you know, of just being able to say, you know what, it's going to dissolve. Eventually it will dissolve. Everything will dissolve except the one constant in life, and that's impermanence, and that's change. And when we get it, that we can let go and go with the change, we find that life is so much easier. That change is okay, it's growth, it's beautiful. That change is wonderful. And we just jump on the bandwagon of change. You know, we're fluid beings, we're not solid beings. It's okay, we're a verb, we're not a noun. We learned that we were a person, place, or thing. You know, I don't think that's so true. I think that we are the energy of life itself. And when we get that, it's not so painful. It's not so painful anymore. Pima Children says, this is the way that life is, enjoy the ride. Just enjoy the ride and quit trying to figure it all out. Quit trying to figure it all out. You know, that's been my biggest challenge, is I try to figure it out. And the truth is you can't. You let go of trying to control your life, you know? And I was, do you ever watch the show Wife Swap? I don't really like it, but I mean, the truth is that I turn it on and then I can't turn it off because I want to see what happens. So in Wife Swap, what they do is the wife, usually it's a wife, you know, will go to a different house, there's two families, and then they go to the other family to see how the other family lives, and then they take control of the other family, and the other one goes here. Well, the truth is that they try to control the other family, and the other family hates it, and there's all this control going on. And the truth is they want to go back to their familiar ways. You know, can you understand that? We all do. We want to go back to these familiar patterns of routine. That just feels more comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that sometimes we can't go back. You know, they can go back to their own homes, right? You know, because it's just a TV show. But sometimes we can't. We can't go back to the old way of being in our life anymore. I've been there millions of times where I've been in this in-between place. And I bet there's a lot of you right now that are in between things. And this in-between place is this place of, now what? And it's kind of a scary place to be, you know, because you don't know. You're living in a mystery right there. You're living in, I don't know what now. And that's the time of growth. To me, that's the one of the best places you can be. It's this place that the universe is swirling around for your next step. And I really, really believe that. And I invite any of you that are going through something right now, that are in kind of flux, this in-between place, is that you go with it, that you open up, and you just be with it. And I love what Pima Children says about that. She said, here's what you do when you're in these in-between places. And I can't think of any of us that probably aren't in an in-between place. You know, sometimes we get landed and we're pretty good, but you get thrown out of that in a minute. But she says, be fully present. Here's what you do. You be fully present, you feel your heart, and then you engage the next moment without agenda, without any agenda. You just are there, fully present with life itself, without agenda. So, and I got to thinking about this, and I have a friend who is going through this incredibly kind of difficult situation. She's in this in-between place, and she had to have a talk with her husband because she didn't know, you know, what was going on in her life, and she needed to be able to speak. And so she had a plan what she was going to say, and she had it all, you know, I'm going to tell him this, and he needs to do this, and I need to do this, and I'm going to sit down. And she talked to me about this. And I was working on this talk, and I said, maybe you just need to take a breath, you know, engage, don't have an agenda about what you want to say, drop to your heart, take that moment, and see what happens, because she was in this in-between time, this fear of not knowing what to do. And it happened, and so she sat down and she talked with him, and she said it was the most loving, incredible conversation she'd ever had. She didn't try to figure out what to say next. You know, she knew what to say in the moment without agenda, because there was something bigger working through her. And sometimes we need to do that. We need to let go We need to just let go and let this bigger thing, this intelligence move through us. You know, but the truth is we have this fear inside of us. When I was a kid, we had this dark basement. Did you guys ever have these dark, horrible basements and had a door to it, and I wouldn't even go by the basement door because, you know, there was a washing machine down there that used to rock, you know. And my mom would do it in the dark room, you know, with the door down there. It was really a scary place, and it was so fearful. And I think about in our lives, we have those places, those basements inside, and we're afraid to go by the door. We're afraid to face that fear. So that's what the call is today, is to feel what you're feeling. You know, if there's a fear in you, to give yourself time to let it digest, you know, and then to know that it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Change is okay. That our life, I think, Pima Children says that our life is a mandala, it's a big circle, and it's all God, everything in it is just for you. There isn't anything in your life that is going on that you can actually see that's not for you. Everything is for you. The sadness, the joys, the laughs, the crying, everything is for you. You know, it's one big mandala. And our job, you know, look in your life right now. What's going on? That's created for you to transform. So here's the call. What you do is you embrace it. You embrace what's happening in your life. You take it and you use it to transform who you are, to transform your world, to create something bigger inside of you, to not create something, it's there, but to take that something and to move through life with that bigness that you are. So I'll close by saying, right yesterday, as I was thinking about this, talking about, you know, what I was going to say, I felt this worry come up about my friend who's going through some issues right now. And I felt this kind of sadness come through me. And just as I looked up, I looked outside and there was this big crane, beautiful crane outside in my backyard. So the point being is that right there in that instant is both and. Both and. It's the sorrow and kind of the sadness that I felt for a moment, but there's this joy of this incredible big crane that was right out my backyard. And that's what our life is about. It's both and. It's all of it. So my call and my prayer to all of us is that we really embrace every piece of our life, every piece of our life. That our well-being is what our intention is, what God's intention is for us, that we trust the universe and awaken ourselves to the world. Thank you for joining me.